Let us read the poem line by line. In my room, I talk to my invisible guests. In my room, the speaker is in his room. The room could be physical. The speaker has probably invited his guests to his house and they are in his drawing room physically. But room can also be symbolic, as in Virginia Woolf's lecture, A Room of One's Own. Room could stand for the personal space of the speaker, the religious identity of the speaker. In my room, the speaker stands within his personal space, within his religious identity, and interacts verbally with his guests. In my room, I talk to my invisible guests. Invisible guests. What a beautiful construction. The typical Hindu refuses to wear his religion on his sleeve. The Hindu community is a rather invisible community. Hinduism is not a Friday religion or a Saturday religion or a Sunday religion. Is not a religion at all. If you look at the ways in which some other religions are organized. Invisible guests. The Hindu identity is frequently invisible, and that is its strength. You must understand that you can believe in God and in one God and be a Hindu. You can believe in 33 crore gods and be a Hindu. You can believe in no God. You can be an atheist and be a Hindu. There were the Charvakas in ancient India who were materialists, who were more materialistic than Karl Marx himself. And they were Hindus. You can be an agnostic. You can say that you're not sure whether there is God, and you can say that nobody can be sure whether there is God and still be a Hindu. Hinduism is not a religion in the manner in which some other important religions of this world are religions. Hinduism is more a way of life, an approach. Hinduism is something intrinsic, internal, psychological, spiritual. That is why the poet says that his guests, his Hindu guests, are invisible because they cannot be seen as Hindus. They don't wear their Hindu identities on their sleeves. I would like to draw your attention to a passage from Nissim Ezekiel's well-known essay, Naipaul's India and Mine. This is what Ezekiel says, I quote, I am not a Hindu and my background makes me a natural outsider. Circumstances and decisions relate me to India. In other countries, I am a foreigner. In India, I am an Indian. Unquote. I would like to repeat the first sentence, or it's not a sentence, it's part of a sentence. The first few words of this quotation. I am not a Hindu, and my background makes me a natural outsider. The poem under discussion is written by Nissim Ezekiel as a natural outsider. Only a natural outsider could have written such a poem. They do not argue but wait till I am exhausted. These lines capture effectively, accurately, the approach of Hinduism towards other religions. There is no attempt to argue. Hinduism does not believe in argument, in intellectual debate, in logical victory or logical defeat. Hinduism simply refuses to argue. They do not argue. One of the reasons why this is so is because Hinduism never says that it has an exclusive monopoly over truth. You have one religion which says that its followers are the chosen people of God. You have a second religion which says that if you don't believe in so and so, if you don't believe that so and so was so and so, you will go to hell. You will never ever get a passage to heaven. You have a third religion which says if you don't believe in this text, if you don't believe in all that this text says, you will be immediately sent to the most painful hell after death. But if you believe what this text says, you will go to paradise. Unlike the Abrahamic religions, Hinduism refuses to claim a monopoly over truth and hence refuses to engage in intellectual interactions with the other religions and does not believe that a logical victory or a logical defeat is damning because you may defeat me in a logical debate, but that does not dent my position, that does not affect my position because I believe that there is not merely one path to truth, there are innumerable paths. You must remember that Hinduism has a tremendous assimilative power. They refuse to argue. The Hindu guests of the speaker refuse to argue with him. But they wait till he is exhausted. That is a strategy of Hinduism. To refuse to engage actively with other religions, but to wear those religions out. The story goes that India had its first Christians when St. Thomas came to Kerala shortly after the death of Jesus and converted from Hindus to Christianity. But when the Portuguese came to Kerala, how many years later? I'm not very sure. Vasco da Gama arrived in Calicut. More exactly, I think it is Kapad Beach near Calicut in 1498. So when the Portuguese came to Kerala some 1400 years later, 1400 years later, they were shocked to find the so-called Christians more Hindu than the Hindus themselves. Hinduism refuses to engage the other religions in intellectual interactions, but wears the other religions out. These lines light, throw brilliant light on the remarkable, on the extraordinary, on the almost magical powers of assimilation possessed by Hinduism. That is why it is called Sanatana Dharma. The Dharma which is eternal, the Dharma which is immortal. Many other religions of the world have a specific beginning. They could very well have a specific end. But here is a religion whose origins are lost in the mists of the remote past, and a religion which is believed to be immortal, to be eternal, a religion which has no beginning, which has no end.